Well, good evening and welcome to Bishop Eton, to our Redemptorist home in Liverpool. The 1st of May, the feast of St. Joseph the Worker, a most glorious day. I guess it's been pretty good across the country, but certainly it's been a perfect day here in Liverpool and in Chester. I managed to get to the organ recital at lunchtime today and had a very pleasant day in which I've kind of let a lot of the tensions that have built up over the last few weeks on one front or another just drift away a little bit. And also, all being well, I'm going to get a few days away next week just to recoup before the First Communions and various other things which are coming up, which are going to need a fair bit of attention. Father Andrew's much better, thanks be to God, and we've had our provincial council meetings this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Andrew's also got to be away next week for an important finance meeting, but again we seem to be getting organised there. And indeed, in terms of the health of the brethren, Father Phil Jones is at last making good progress. We've had some good support from our local surgery, and we're getting the care package in place. It's a little bit of work to be done on that, but Philip is a very gentle soul, and he is at long last responding well to treatment, although he's got this drain to cope with in his gallbladder at the moment, which isn't very pleasant, but he's coping with it, and please God we can see him through, and the treatment at the moment seems to be working, so do keep up the prayers on that front. Of course, we continually pray for those who are sick and those who are struggling, for those who are bereaved. And of course, in the wake of Pope Francis's death, we're now looking to the conclave, which begins next week on the 7th, which I think, if my mathematics are correct, will be next Wednesday. So please God, the cardinals will be blessed, the Holy Spirit will inspire them, and we'll get the next, as the Jesuit general said, the next successor to Peter. There's a tendency to put all the emphasis on a successor to Francis. Well, obviously, Francis has laid a very powerful foundation for the next pope, but of course we do think of them in terms of the successors of St. Peter. I'm not sure there's really much more I want to share with you today. I just again want to thank God for all the good things. We had masses in each parish to pray for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis. I must say the funeral last Saturday was almost utterly remarkable, I thought, and the homily of Cardinal Ray was absolutely remarkable, and I thought just in really very short space of time managed to touch into the remarkable pontificate of Pope Francis, and was able to include some of those very important documents that he wrote, encyclical letters, and of course his whole reaching out to not only to the church but to the wider world, and of course surely with that greater sense, I think, of our common humanity today, recognizing that Jesus came for all men and women of all time. The challenge for us all, of course, is to continue to make the church a welcoming place, a place that is opening the arms of Christ to welcome everybody. There's often that image of Christ on the cross, the arms outstretched, drawing everybody in. And so please God, we will work synodally, we'll work together. There's so much work to be done, really, and I'm becoming more and more convinced that synodal process really can take off, and maybe this is the moment for it. And of course the other remarkable things, that meeting of Zelensky and of Trump before the funeral, will be etched on all our minds too. And even there this morning there does seem to be some progress, so let's thank God for the good things, but let's continue to pray for those who are suffering. Our hearts go out to the terrible violence that continues in our world, and we do sometimes feel helpless, but there do seem to be little moments of grace at the moment, which are perhaps reminding us that we must never give up on praying. And that's one of the things, I think I've mentioned it before, that we as Redemptorists are particularly challenged with, because St. Alphonsus added to the 3 vows that most religious take of poverty, chastity and obedience, the vow and oath of perseverance, that we simply keep going. And I'm reminded in one last thought with you today that on Saturday, I think I'm right in saying it's the 18th anniversary since little Madeleine McCann disappeared, and we're going to remember her in a special way at Mass tomorrow, and obviously continue to pray for the family, for Kate and Jerry, and of course her grandmother who's here in our parish, and so on. So let's just pause for a moment to think of all those we want to pray for today, and of course we always gather those prayers together and reach out to our Blessed Lady, our Mother of Perpetual Succour, to join us in our prayers. We offer our prayers through Christ to God our Father. So thank you as always for sharing with me these few thoughts this week. Hopefully by the end of next week I'll be fully refreshed and ready for the early summer blitz with, say, the First Communions of Bishop Eton. Will be in the middle of May, and then we move into the First Communions in St Mary's later on towards near the end of term. So thank you, and for all the good wishes, and I haven't perhaps said enough about that, all the kind good wishes and the generous remembrances over Easter, both here in the two parishes and from further afield. So if I've forgotten to say thank you to anybody, please do accept my thanks. I am immensely grateful for myself and on behalf of the community. So good night and God bless.